Hey guys, welcome to Spoiler Alert with me, Cinephile Sanket. So, for this episode, I have invited a very special guest. Their name is Matthew Cody Lang. So, Matthew is a cinephile and a movie buff. And Matthew and I will be discussing this film called Dancer in the Dark, which is written and directed by Lars von Trier. So, if you haven't watched Dancer in the Dark, please do watch this film first and then check this conversation out. We'll be discussing all the spoilers of the film. So, hi Matt, welcome to Spoiler Alert with me, Cinephile Sanket. Uh, Today we are talking about one of your other favorite film, which is Dancer in the Dark.
Yep, a lot to say.
Just to be clear, Dancing in the I'll first say the story of the film. Actually, Dancing in the Dark is about is about a single mother called Selma who works in a factory and also is an aspiring theater dancer, and she's an aspiring Broadway dancer, and she's slowly losing her eyesight, and she wants to protect her son too by having an operation for him. This is her story. So Matt, I wanted to ask you, what was your experience, first time watching this film?
Well, it's the first movie I ever saw by Lars von Trier, and it's also the first time I really actually got to see York. Besides, like the swan dress and her like beating the hell out of that reporter that one time, which you haven't seen. It's brilliant. So I was like, I had known her as more of a character and not really as like a artist much. So when I first got it, I was like, oh, this is supposed to be really depressing. This should be fun. And it was during a time when my mom found out she was losing her eyesight. So I was like, oh, this will be great for us to bond over. Little did I know that it was, I mean, actually the most depressing thing we had ever seen. And I just kind of, basically the two of us watched it and cried from beginning to end. Um, it was emotionally draining. Her performance is outstanding. It's definitely my favorite performance I've seen on screen. It's something that I connected to a lot, and it feels very real, too real at times. So yeah, it was when I was younger, I watched it, but I've seen it many a times at this point, and constantly am forcing it down other people's throats and being like, "You need to watch this." So, which I'm glad you finally did too. Yeah, how was your experience?
As you mentioned also, so this film actually also was recommended by you, and you highly recommended this film to me to watch this, and that just recently only I watched this, and I was shocked. Obviously, as you also know that I have only watched Lars von Trier's latest films, that was The House That Jack Built and Melancholia, and those were the most graphic and violent films. But I've got to know that from some friends that Lars von Trier actually made some clean, good films in his past. But so that's the reason actually I watched it, and I was shocked about the ending. So when Bjork's character Selma gets hanged, I was completely shocked and was taken aback. Because why? Why? Because actually, in any film where there is a man or a woman who is hanged, people are, the director actually gives some time to just adjust. Okay, this person is actually getting hanged. So just wait for some time, and we actually have some time to get prepared over it. But Lars von Trier didn't give any time. It was just in a spur of moment, and I was just what just happened? What the fuck just happened? And I was just completely taken aback, and that was just just brilliant. And that's the thing I love most about Lars von Trier films also, because he doesn't give those happy endings, happy endings in the film. And even the songs I liked very much. but actually one point I like felt that okay, if no song ever comes in this film, it's okay. But the very last the number, I think it's called 107. Yeah, it's called 107. I think, yeah, 107 steps. So it came, and actually that song. That's the reason I think the song was placed, and other songs as well. Like obviously, Lars von Trier actually is actually telling the lead actress Selma's what her mind is going through, and all other songs are the exact same thing. And I actually loved how he placed all those songs. And even like I actually haven't told you, I haven't told you earlier that, but what when the first number came, I'm actually got shocked. Oh, okay, like oh wow, just the first number just came, and very uniquely they introduced the first song. He didn't yeah, he didn't play any outside instruments, but he actually gathered the music from the resources and the materials which were available in the factory where she was working from. And that's actually a pretty great thing and a very unique thing. And to just compose the song in and around that factory, and like it was fucking brilliant. So I wanted to ask you, how did the songs impacted you?
Well, I remember hearing that it was a musical, and it opens, depending on like the version you watch, most of them open with the overture, which is not something that a lot of modern musicals do anymore. It was more of like a golden era kind of Hollywood musical approach, where they would have the overture before the film and then kind of like give you an idea of where the music was going and stuff. So this opened with that, and I was like, oh, that's really beautiful. And then it kind of starts with them doing a production of The Sound of Music, and you get introduced to Selma and her friend. I can't remember her actual name, but she calls her Qualda, which is like big and jolly is what she says. And you kind of see them where you see Selma is cast as Maria from Sound of Music, and you hear her like, "When the dog barks," and you're like, you're not used to that kind of voice. And they even pointed out, they're like, she kind of sings funny, but it's very interesting. But you can see that it's told through her like body, her voice of like how she would approach singing, and it's so authentic and real and different that it just totally works. And but it at first I was like, okay, so are we just going to be going through The Sound of Music? But then 30 minutes later is when we get our first like musical number, and it kind of comes out of nowhere because you forget like, oh, this is supposed to be a musical. But then when she's hearing the sounds, because she's going blind, she mostly focuses on music to get her into a place where it's like, you know what, my life may not be in the best place, but at least I can escape through daydreaming. And you hear like the music, and even the lyrics are just like clatter, crash, crack, like it's just like sounds. And it still turns into this like beautiful like motivational song where she's like pretending that this whole moment with her in the factory, which is actually like drab and gross and kind of like monotonous and blech, and she turns it into this big beautiful moment. And then it kind of gets her into trouble where she kind of fucks up the entire machine and has to be like let go for the day. And it's great because it starts to evolve a little bit more, where as she's like losing her eyesight more and more is when the music kind of takes over her life as well. So you start getting these little moments here and there where she clings to that bit of happiness and joy that she gets just from like the idea of music, and having grown up from like movie musicals from Czechoslovakia, where she's like immigrated from and lives in America, where like also Von Trier is very critical about America. He even has like a trilogy, but he never finished it, with like Dogville and Manderley. And this, I think, was like the beginning of that, where it takes place in America, though Von Trier's never been to America because he has a huge fear of flying. So it also was like a critique on the justice system in America, which as you see it go along, you see this you know, rather naive woman who is almost childlike in a very interesting way, and you see her kind of being fully abused throughout the entire movie to the very end, where you like hope there's like a bit of something that's gonna happen that like for the good, and then it doesn't, and it just ends horribly. But in her mind, she clings to that one like next to last song before she kind of has her life ended. So the music is something that you cling on to as an audience member, as well as what Selma does as well. And each time a song comes, it's not like, oh, here comes a song. It's like, oh my God, how is she gonna make it through this? And it's just emotionally draining and but also beautiful to see how even during the musical numbers, which I think is really cool, there's like this tint that goes over the screen, over the moments where it's like where the life that she's living is very drab, but then it kind of becomes like this warmer color every time the music comes in, which I think is really interesting thing, because it shows her fantasy kind of come to life in a beautiful way. But it's yeah, it's really intense. So I don't know.
But yeah, even
I'm trying to think.
I'm actually in awe with Lars von Trier's directing style as well. So I loved Lars von Trier's directing style because he used his all his Dogma 95 rules in this film, and just cutting it away, and just using all those natural lights, and it was just great. And another thing I liked about it was the close-ups in the film, and like he bravely used those close-ups to just to let us know that how uncomfortable Selma is in that film, and in the story, and how she's dealing with the situation, and like everyone is fucking her over. First was her friend, and also a police officer who was who fucks her over some money, and I was just feeling sorry about Selma as a character, and uh, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's really horrible because it's so great because I mean, in a way of like her performance, it's her like one of the very few films that Bjork has ever done. She's not someone who wants to act. She's always wanted to do music, and that's her thing. But Lars von Trier convinced her after the "It's Oh So Quiet" video that she did, where it's almost like she's breaking out into musical numbers. It's like, oh, this is who I want to do this, and she agreed to do it because she's like involved in the music as well. And I mean, famously, the production had a lot of issues, especially because Lars von Trier is a dickhead. I love his work, but he is a giant fucking like idiot child. But I also find that that is a weird thing that fuels his creativity. And you know, after hearing what happened with Björk during that whole thing, it's just you can see why she was so affected, like even during the filmmaking. Like that last scene is like it's you can tell it seems like I don't even know how if this was like a thing that happened like towards the end, but it feels like even the end of the movie was maybe shot towards the end of the filming because she breaks down completely. It's like you're watching her actually being tortured. It is very, very difficult to watch. And she just is completely miserable. And you can see that just in her as a person, but she lets go. And you know, she was like super into this character and wanted to show this character the love that she saw like inside of her as well. And it's devastating. It's very hard to watch, and it's something that, you know, not even like really well trained like performers, actors can really pull out something that real from the performance. And it's she just let go, and it's very scary to watch, but also super powerful that she let herself be able to go to a place like that. And it's something that I will never forget. The screaming is just it's so difficult to sit there and experience. So even when I'm like telling friends like you got to watch this, like towards the end if I'm watching it with them, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to keep my head down because it's a weird movie to watch with people, and I've done it several times, and I'm always like, so how'd you feel? And they're like, like trying to pick themselves up afterwards. It's just a lot, and Lars von Trier always gives you that ending, which is like just like kind of like a shot in the face. It's just you're just the whole movie, it kind of like steadily builds to this moment where you have just kind of had the rug pulled from under you, and this is no different than a lot of his other films. But you also mentioned the Dogma 95 movement, which is interesting because he created this with, I think, Thomas Vinterberg as well. And they even von Trier like goes against his own kind of ideas where they want to use natural lighting and stuff like that, but even that he kind of switches it with the musical numbers and goes against his own like manifesto, which I think is funny because he's a little rebel asshole. So but also Catherine Deneuve is in this, and I don't want to like skip over her, or especially Siobhan Fallon Hogan, who plays the security guard at the end, who helps her through the 107 steps. That small like bit role. Siobhan Fallon Hogan is one of my favorite performers in general because she always knows how to steal a spotlight from any moment that she's on screen, and that wasn't even and this was no exception either because she's just incredible. And Catherine Deneuve plays her part beautifully as well. The whole cast is just great and dedicated, and you see some familiar faces from other von Trier works and stuff, which is just it's exciting to see how this kind of falls into his like whole collection of films that he's done too. It's I'm so scatterbrained about this because I've been obsessed with this damn movie forever. They also need to get a Blu-ray on Region 1 soon before I lose my fucking mind. But I love it so much, and I love the music, and it was a great introduction to Lars von Trier and Björk. And I've since become a giant fan of Björk, and I've met her one time. It was really awkward, but it was great, and I've seen her in concert. Yeah, it was just kind of the beginning of like this whole adventure into deeper, darker, crazier films, and even music that I had never actually experienced before. So overall, it was just really exciting. What did you think of the music in general? I'm really curious.
So I actually have been watching Bollywood films from like my early ages, so I know how those tragedy and like musical work. Like this wasn't very new for me, but like I know how those kind of films work. But the most unique thing about the films was like Bollywood doesn't know how to actually like properly use music in the narrative. Like I haven't seen that much. Like I haven't seen those of the best good films which like do so in a great way in Bollywood. But when I saw this film, I thought, yeah, Lars von Trier did a great job putting all those all those songs in the right place, and even the lyric was actually perfect. Even the second dance number, which was, I've seen it all, like it was just amazing. Like even when you hear the lyric just after, like on YouTube, it actually makes sense. Like I have seen it all. I have seen this, I have seen that. And his lover actually, who like I don't know his name, but like he was also an actor in Fargo. And and he actually tells that you haven't seen this, you haven't seen that, you have to see this, and how the world is beautiful. And like I was just, wow. It's like
That's
it's
I liked that there was this like idea of a romance that could have happened, because a lot of musicals, there's like a romance in there, and there's this thing where you're like, there's this like cute little romance blossoming and stuff, but she's also like, I'm not here for romance. I've done that. I've seen it, done it. I'm here to help my child who could possibly also go blind. And she moved to America just to make things better for him. And as she's going blind, she's picking up all these like other shifts as well, and pushing herself to make sure that he doesn't have the same kind of struggles that she's had. And along the way, taking on even more struggles just to be like, I want my child to have the future that I don't really see myself getting for myself. And, thinking that America is the place where this is where it's going to happen. But while she's here, she deals with the dark side of America, which is the, criminal like justice system. Even like close with this police officer who's supposed to be her friend, supposed to be this person who's there to protect people, who himself is also being fucked over by the American dream. And then he takes it out on her in a way that, the selfishness takes over, but then she still stays true to her heart, which is part of the Golden Heart trilogy with Breaking the Waves, The Idiots, and Dancer in the Dark. And she sticks to her guns, as you will say, and like she just powers through no matter what, just to make sure she doesn't fuck anybody over, and she makes sure she gets her son the surgery. And we find out at the end when Qualda gives her the glasses, she's like, he gets to see his grandchildren. And I'm like, oh God, like at least she got it done. He gets to have the surgery. So she's like, fuck it, I'm ready to go. And at the end, even though like she's cut off mid-song, it's still, she gets what she wanted, and she succeeded in what she actually got. And even though she's, killed in this really horrible way, she got what she wanted. And that last like 107 steps song, I think also shows her like going through the prison cells and seeing all these people who are basically awaiting their own death, and how like upsetting it is. And it's a great like slap across the face to like the American criminal justice system. And I love that. And people are like, who's Von Trier to say anything about America? He's never been here. And it's like, I'm sorry, but sometimes it takes like an outsider to be like, hey, listen, that's fucked up. And I love that about him, where he's just like, yeah, y'all, y'all pretend to be number one all the time, but y'all fuck up a lot. And I'm like, bravo, keep it coming. So I was really upset that he didn't finish his like America trilogy with Dogville, Mandalay, and he was supposed to do Washington. But maybe we'll get that in the future. But this was, I think, a really a film that stands out among like all of his films for a lot of people too, because it's so different from a lot of his stuff, considering he throws music in there. And I think that's a lot to thank with Bjork coming on board and helping with the music as well. Too bad the like production was a real shit show. But I'm glad they both made it through and have moved on in their careers. So, but I'll always remember it. So, and it's always going to be one of my favorites.
So yeah, this at this point we have to conclude this spoiler-filled conversation about like one of your favorite films. So yeah, Matt, thank you so much for coming to my show. Like it was a pleasure having you to speak and like have a great chat about Dancer in the Dark, which actually is one of your personal your personal films. And like I'm actually like it's still growing into me like that film. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to talk about this anytime. I could have talked about it forever, but this can only be so long. So, but thank you for actually watching it. I know it's a hard one to dive into, but I'm so happy we're kind of going back and forth with movies, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, have fun.